Welcome back to Wealth Be Hers, a Money with Mission. I am your host, Dr. Felecia Froe, and we are hosted by Money with Mission, whose vision is that every woman have the financial ability to walk away from any job or relationship that is not in her best interest. And to that end, we have the podcast that has guests coming on talking about, number one, their money story so you can relate to them and see that not everybody who is making money today and having money make money for them started out that way. So I want us to see ourselves in people that are doing great things. Also, just to get new ideas of how to have your money work for you. Everybody needs to think about this. It is not about running around, running that hamster wheel, making money, making money, making money. We want to have our money working for us. If you have not subscribed, please do so. Hit the button, you know what to do. If you're watching on YouTube, I would love you to subscribe, so please subscribe to that. If you're on Spotify, Apple, whatever your platform is, and you haven't seen our YouTube, go over there and you can look at me, see, whatever. And hit subscribe to that too. I really, really appreciate it. If you haven't heard, we're having our first Wealth Be Hers retreat coming up end of March 2026 in Dominica at the Jungle Bay Resort. It's a nice eco-friendly resort. It's going to be a lot of fun. I do not want a big crowd, so we're keeping it small on purpose, maximum 12. I want us to have a good time. I want it to be fun. I want us to be able to feel comfortable talking about money with each other and getting some ideas and confidence about moving forward. All right. Today on the podcast, I have Jennifer Lee. Jennifer is the founder of Modern Wealth, a Sarasota-based financial firm with a focus on helping individuals experiencing transition. And whatever you think transition is, it is, okay? She's originally from Maryland, and she brought her over 26 years of expertise to the financial services industry to Florida. She has found that a relationship with an advisor is most critical at the intersections of life where emotions collide with financial events. That's Jennifer's definition of a transition. Emotions collide with financial events. And that's a lot of things, you guys. She enjoys facilitating her clients through challenges as they experience life's upsets, such as divorce, loss of a spouse, or business to retirement transition. Whether you are experiencing divorce, expanding your business, or selling your operation, or a couple wanting to make sure you can provide for your family, Modern Wealth may be a good fit. Jennifer provides a fresh perspective to the financial planning process by digging deep to understand what drives her clients. At Modern Wealth, they build long-lasting relationships, and this is important. I want you to get with a financial advisor before you're transitioning. Get with someone that you can talk to about everything in your life, someone who's actually becomes a friend, so that when you have a big thing happening, they already know you, you already trust them, it's already a good relationship. Anyway, as part of their process, they encourage clients to communicate their values to the most important people in their lives by writing a family love letter. This led Jennifer to write Squeeze the Juice, Live with Purpose, Then Leave a Legacy. This is her first book. Welcome to the show, Jennifer. And we have one more thing that Jennifer needed me to read for you. This is her disclaimer. Discussions in this show should not be construed as specific recommendations or investment advice. Always consult your investment professional before making important investment decisions. Securities offered through registered representatives of Cambridge Investment Research, Inc., a brokerage dealer, member FINRA and SIPC. Advisory services offered through Cambridge Investment Research Advisors, Inc., a registered investment advisor. Modern Wealth, LLC, and Cambridge are not affiliated. Welcome, Jennifer. I'm really excited to have this conversation.
Thank you so much for having me. Me too.
Good. You're in Sarasota, Florida right now. You've got some letters at the end of your name that I'm going to have you explain to me first. AIF and AWMA. Just tell me what those stand for.
Sure. Basically, the AIF is a fiduciary. So my job is to be a fiduciary to my clients, what is in their best interest. In the financial world, there's lots of different things out there. So we take that world of stuff, pull it all together, and narrow down to what is appropriate for you, the specific person versus somebody else. Not everything is the same for every person. And then the accredited wealth management advisor is just another designation around money management.
Got
So
it. AWMA, accredited wealth management advisor. And then back to the fiduciary, because I think a lot of people don't understand that. And they think a financial advisor is a financial advisor and a financial advisor. And can you just explain the difference between a non-fiduciary advisor and a fiduciary advisor?
there's a lot of responsibility right now for advisors who are licensed. So there's an obligation to do the right thing for the client. I think the most important part to look at when you're interviewing or evaluating somebody you want to work with is what do they have to offer you? Is it the universe, or do they work for one specific company and they have 6 different offerings, right?
Okay.
Are they focused holistically on how they can best provide for you, or are they product driven and trying to fit you into something, right? So in an ideal world, you have somebody who is independent, who represents you, the client, and wants to have you as a client for many, many years, not sell you a product and never see you again.
Got it. Okay. Perfect. All right. Now we're going to go back to ask my first question. So I know you guys who listen regularly know what the heck's she doing? She didn't ask the first question. And my first question is, tell us your money story. How did you come to think about money the way you think about it today?
Oh gosh, I have so many money stories. It's not even funny. I love money. And I don't mean in a greedy kind of way. I just mean I'm comfortable with it. My dad was an advisor. So, I was always went on appointments with him when I was a little kid. I rolled coins on the weekends for him. I was always doing things. I loved to have jobs or sell cards so I could get stuff, out of a catalog. Very entrepreneurial in nature from a young person. Probably because my father was first generation in this country and he had a
Okay.
work ethic that was like none other.
Mhm.
So love that. I got that experience.
All right. How important do you think it was that you went on those appointments with your dad, who he may not even have thought about it? You're like, I don't know what else to do with you. I got to take you. But you got to hear him talking to other people about their financial. How did that affect you, do you think?
Sure. I think it probably was my mom saying, please take her with you.
Okay.
Please get her out of the house. But I think it certainly what shaped me about that experience and being around my dad was mostly how he treated people, how he loved working with them, how he took care of them,
Mhm,
and that he was available to us,
mhm,
right? He didn't miss a softball game or yeah, I think I had Indian Princesses thing on Wednesday nights, right? He was in our lives deeply and he loved what he did with his clients. So I didn't really know necessarily that it was about money or insurance or investing or any of those things. I just knew that he loved what he did. He felt fulfilled and he was motivated.
okay.
Yeah.
Did he push you to money management or?
He did not. I have a story. I was 12 and I was riding around the back of his Mercedes and he says, well, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I said, I think I want to be an architect.
Uh-huh.
And he said, oh, you don't want to be an architect. You probably want to be an accountant. Because he's thinking about centers of influence that could reference it in his business. And I was like, oh, well, I do like math. So I ended up going into accounting
Okay.
and bored out of my mind, honestly. I needed a coffee and a chocolate bar at 3 p.m. every day in my first 2 years of my work life. And about 2.5 years in, he called me one day. I remember going into this little conference room to have a private call. And he said, I let this guy go. I've got a salary. I can replace your salary that you're making right now. Do you want to join me? And I said, I'm done. Yes. I said, I got to give him
Wow.
2 weeks, but yes. And I didn't know what I was getting into. I didn't know that I had to call people and talk to them about stuff. I was an accountant. I didn't want to be on a podcast. Yeah, it was an adjustment. So, but I just jumped because I knew that there was a ceiling where I was, right? There were only 2 people above me, in the top position. Where was I going to go?
And you were bored.
And their
Like,
life didn't
this
look
is,
so exciting.
and you're probably fairly young, but even then it was like, I do not want to live the rest of my life. And probably you probably starting your coffee and your chocolate at noon as opposed to 3. It's going earlier and earlier and earlier. Your
I
dad
still have my chocolate.
your
But
dad
that's just the pattern now.
your dad telling you, "No, not architecture, go into accounting," sounds like me when I told my dad I wanted to be a veterinarian, which is what he did, and he said, "No, if you're going to school that long, you're going to medical school." And it was from that day forward, I was going to medical school. It wasn't even another thing. I
Yeah.
did for a few minutes go to pharmacy school. I was bored out of my mind and went back into medicine to finish and get to medical school, but it's
Was it the right decision for you? Are you in the right place or you want to be a veterinarian?
I I don't think I want to be a veterinarian. I think I had to go through the medical profession to get to where I am today. So when I go back, you look at where you've come and it's like, I needed to learn all these things I've learned to be able to do what really is driving me now. And that's helping women have options. Like our vision is every woman have the financial ability to walk away from any job or relationship that's not in her best interest. And it took me watching my mom and then being in a job, urology, that's like, okay, yeah, I can do this, but it is not my thing.
Mm-hmm.
And see and knowing that I don't have a way out because I don't have money coming in any other way to get to where I am now and all the books and all the people and all the life you have that gets you to where it's all very interesting when you look back on it. You're like,
It is, isn't it?
how did I do this? How did I get here?
But it's a beautiful thing.
It is. It is. And so, and if somebody asked me, that's like you said, would you do it again? Yes, I would do it again. It's just
Yeah.
this was the path I was supposed to have, and this is where I am.
And it's not always the easiest path. Like, I don't know what your birth order is in the child scheme of things in your family, but I'm the firstborn. That was not the easiest spot.
Me too.
Okay.
Firstborn.
It wasn't the easiest spot, but I wouldn't trade.
Yes.
Would you trade with one of your siblings?
Some days, but not usually.
Not, but not ongoing. You
Not
don't want to
every.
give up that control. Come on.
Well, you know me.
I am you.
Okay, so you went and worked with your dad, and you learned more about what you learned about calling people, and you learned about building that relationship with that client, and you learned all those things. How did you get to modern wealth, or is that how did you come to modern wealth where you are now?
Great question. Starting with my father was a little bit of tickle torture because we're the same energy. So a lot of butting heads. I was 25, 26, and I thought I was 50 and, I could run everything
I
and
know everything.
you should
Yeah.
just follow my lead.
Yes.
So you can imagine that kid, right? So, and he didn't really have a training model. So I'm a quick start. I'm a think on your feet. So we would go on appointments and I'd be in the car and say, who are we seeing? Tell me about them and what's their story and what are we going to talk about? And then we do the meeting and then I come back and say, why'd you talk about X, Y, and Z? So
Okay.
I was extracting information from him to understand how to best constantly on a case study basis
Okay.
handle clients. And, time went on and I really wanted to do my own thing. And so I went off on my own and started my own company.
How hard was that to leave your dad, or had
Oh, there was a lot of therapy.
yeah,
Let me tell you, it was a huge, huge, huge decision.
yeah.
And it was not easy by
Mm.
any means. One of the hardest things I've ever had to do in my life because you don't want to disappoint but you got to stretch your own legs. And he wasn't ready. I mean, look, I'm 55. If I had a 25-year-old kid trying to tell me they're going to, take over right now, I'd be like, are you out of your mind? So I get it. Like
Yes.
intellectually now, I get it. But yeah, so it was best for me to do my own thing. I
Did
said, "Look, I'll just say this one thing." The one thing I did say to him, which was because he was having a hard time with it, I said, "Listen, Dad," I said, "I love you and I would rather go on vacation with you and enjoy it and enjoy you and have family connection than, be frustrated at work and us not, be butting heads."
yeah, yeah. Did that fear of failure come into it for you as far as when you decided to leave your dad, or was it like this is gonna be talk about that a little bit?
It's interesting. In my industry, I'll get questions about, "Well, how difficult was it for you as a woman in the financial world?" And I'm like, I it doesn't I'm a firstborn. My dad was a firstborn in this, first generation of this country. He encouraged me, told me I could do anything. So
Mhm.
it never occurred to me that I could fail, right?
Okay.
So, you fail forward, you make mistakes, you adjust, you adapt. you do the next thing and you try that. And so, I started out making phone calls. He had me making phone calls out of a Chamber of Commerce book, which I don't even think you're supposed to do. And this isn't really working for me. So I joined networking groups and I started to connect with other professionals. And
Okay.
that was easier for me to network.
So you had to find your own way to find clients based, the way he did it didn't work for you.
Yeah.
And, now when I think about failing, I don't even think about failing as a woman. I just think about failing, period. And it's just, okay, and when I'm thinking about like a real estate deal or even anything I'm about to step forward into, it's like, what's the worst thing that could happen? Because I always go to
Uh-huh.
the worst. And then, can I survive it?
Yep.
Okay, let's go. Let's do it.
And then how do I also think I do think those two things, and then I think, okay, what's the damage control?
That's
Like
how you
what are my options? Where if I need to pivot, how do I pivot and what does that look like?
it was the mitigation, exactly. All the little things. And do you see them all? No, you don't see them all, but you at least have enough confidence to know I can move forward. And I think that's where so many of us get stuck is
Yeah.
I can't see the whole picture. And no, we can never see the whole picture, but you can see far enough ahead to know what you can do if the plan goes to shit in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
can figure out what to do.
What's the backup? How do you get out?
And it could even be, who am I going to call? And
For
you call
sure.
your dad as much as you probably never wanted to call your dad because you made a mistake, but like, he's there. Even if,
Yeah, well, definitely. And, that's not who you want to call. And now, my dad is no longer with us. So, being self-employed and being a business owner, you don't have a huge bench warming list of people you can call because
yeah,
people call me,
yeah,
right? People are
yes,
calling me to
yes,
help them with the different things that are happening in their life. So, to have a handful of people that an attorney that you have a personal relationship with, an accountant you can say, here's my crazy idea, I'm going to do this. And oh, no, you're not going to do that. Your best friend, there's huge value in that, in those
yeah.
connections. So,
Even, and for me, coaches, people, I may actually paying people to watch my blind spots,
yes,
make sure I don't do something completely stupid that I can't come out of. So it's important, it's necessary, and it's
yeah,
necessary to take some risks, like the transitions that we choose to make and the ones that come our way that just happened because this is how life shows up for us. Let's talk about that because I like the way you put the way you kind of define a transition is where emotions collide with financial, and I can't remember the exact words, but the emotions with finances when you don't have everything already lined up, kind of sort of, and have an idea what's going on can be a nightmare.
yeah.
Those people that you get in touch with that come your way, it sounds like.
Well, I love what I do. I've been doing this a long time and I don't ever, and just going back to my father's approach versus mine, I'm a terrible salesperson. He was a master. Okay. I don't want to sell somebody something. I want to connect. I want to have a relationship. I want to talk about how I can help you and have you be a client for a long time. So, in terms of trying to approach people, if you approach 100 people with, hey, what you do and how you can be of value, people only move with regard to their money either because, to gain pleasure or avoid pain, right? So they're
Yeah.
either
Yeah.
upset with their advisor or something has changed and they need to move. So when does transition happen? When your life is a bit of a mess.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
That's where, that's where I can be of most value, right? So somebody, suddenly loses a spouse and they never handle the finances. It's getting a grip on everything you have and trying to figure out a financial triage of, okay, what do we have? Financial planning is simple. What do you have? What do you want?
Yeah.
Okay? And I can help you do all the stuff in between, right? And help you map that out. Same thing with, going through a divorce, right? You've got all these balls up in the air. It makes it more complicated if you have children, if you have multiple properties, if there's a business involved, if it's a second marriage. I mean, there's a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And to be fair, unless it was your idea and you're executing after you've gone through a lot of therapy and you're ready to go, your executive function is not present.
Mhm.
It's not what it normally is. And so that's when you really do need to lean on people, and it's usually a team, a coach, therapist, financial
Yes.
person, and your
Yeah.
attorney,
Yeah.
right? Or mediator,
Yeah. Hmm. Yes. Okay, so the things we talked about so far, the transitions that come, they hit us. Your spouse
Yep.
dies, and say it was unexpected, or a divorce that you didn't necessarily see coming. What about you're thinking about leaving your current job and doing a different job? Your transitions, you're making your life chaos. This is how I tend to do things. I tend to make my life chaos. Like,
Yeah.
let me change something.
Because you
How
get bored.
I've got a couple of friends, one a client is actually going through the same things, like, and there's a whole bunch going on, but it's what I'm getting at is having that relationship before these things happen. Because like you said, when emotions are really high, your executive functions are, you don't even know what to do. People could tell you anything.
Yeah.
And it's very important to me to have that relationship with someone before you need them, 100% need them, need to be leaning on them, and they need to know you so that they know how to help you. And so
Absolutely.
how do because I want to have my clients, women that I talk to, understand that that's important, because many think I got this, everything's fine. And part of it's the way we are raised. Is like, one of my big things is we're raised to go to school, get a job, work until you retire. And
Yeah.
nobody talks about all the life things that happen in between that are going to make it hard for you to finish to the government retirement age.
Yeah.
I want people as early as possible to start talking to somebody and have them in their life or their team in their life for as long as possible. How do we get them there?
Yeah, that's a challenge because again, people think that, an accountant you need to go to because they need to file your tax return by a date, right?
Yes.
You need to respond to a request for information for your kid's school because they need to sign up for a camp by a certain date. There's a deadline.
Yeah.
There's really it's a movable deadline when you retire. Okay.
Mhm.
So I can, when I talk to young people, I say, oh my gosh, if I could talk to my 25-year-old self, what I would tell her is, and I have the litany of these things that you should be doing, you know, but are they ready to listen? Probably not. So I think that it is a challenge. So when you are thinking about leaving a job and starting something on your own, I think that's a critical time to be having a realistic conversation with somebody who is not invested in your emotional change, right?
Yes.
So my job is to help you see the potholes and pitfalls that could come,
Yes.
right? And, somebody who has a job with health insurance and benefits and all that kind of stuff and wants to be independent on their own, I'm going to educate them about starting to do a side hustle, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
Start to build this up so that you have some revenue coming in. Because the failure rate to just go out on your own and start a business is super high, right? Not everybody is an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Many people are employees,
Yes. And
and that's
there's
okay.
nothing wrong
Now,
with that.
you
Exactly.
got to figure out who you are and how to navigate that,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And if you are an entrepreneur, great. I mean, I was an entrepreneur from a young age. I had 3 jobs at a time. My
Yeah.
job in accounting, I was waiting tables on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday because it gave me a couple $100 in my pocket and I wanted it, right? My friends were out partying and I was buying houses and renovating them and scraping paint on a Friday night or Saturday morning. And, I had more wealth than they did,
Yeah.
but they had more fun, maybe. I
Air
don't know.
quotes fun, but yeah.
I had
Well,
plenty of fun scraping paint,
you see you
making
scraping the
money.
paint with your glass of wine. This is my party
Yeah,
time.
yeah, I mean, it's all a matter of perspective. So to each their own, one isn't better than the other. And I would have been bored at, drinking at the same bar anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, I get it. What led you to talk about writing the love letter?
That's a great question. Every great idea is repurposed. And I heard a money manager talk about family love letter and talking about estate plans. And I was like, this is brilliant because I'm always trying to have a meaningful conversation with people about their insurance, about their wills, about making sure that they're taking their care of their family, about their investments and their strategies. And they're scared to talk about these things,
Yes. Yes.
right?
Yep.
And I get that. So when I talk about writing your family love letter, it everybody can relate to that and it relaxes you. They're like, oh, I do want to take care of my kids and I want to make sure they know this. And I want to make sure my spouse knows nothing about, the school schedule or the kid's favorite toy or how to put them to sleep and whatever it is.
Yeah.
They need to know those things. So it ignites some thought process and hopefully discussion with your spouse about, hey, how much life insurance do we have? And what happens if you die? Do I pay off the mortgage? Will I have enough money to not go back to work because the kids are little? I'd like to have that option, right? So there's all these things that that I, as an advisor, can then have a meaningful and deep conversation, because people don't just call me up and say, hey, I need to talk about our future and our life and long-term care insurance. But they don't.
No. No. Actually, the way you just talked about the love letter, I always thought about it, and you brought up this non-moneyed spouse or non-moneyed partner, and then I'm assuming that's the one. There's one that makes money and manages all the money, or basically manages the money in the family, and then there's the other one who's doing all the other stuff. And that's very frequently the guy, and the woman is the non-money, but they can be vice versa. But
Yep.
and we women, everybody seems to have a hard time talking about money, and women tend to be even harder to talk about money. And I still even have trouble sometimes when I'm talking to my partner about money, but we have to. And what you just talked about is the love letter. If the non-money, the one that's not the money manager in the family, starts writing the love letter, that's an opening to having that conversation with the one who's been managing the money, so we can get all this stuff down on paper. I just want everybody, that's a great idea, because
again, another innocuous way to start having these conversations, these difficult conversations with your spouse. Your first question about your money story, that's also really helpful in talking with your spouse. Say, hey, what was your first memory of money? And understand what that meant. I mean, in my book, I talk about being 7 years old. My grandfather was Chinese, and he had a Chinese restaurant. And I remember being in the kitchen area that had rafters that were open. And I remember being 6 or 7 years old and seeing this wad of money, cash, up in the rafters.
Okay.
So my hand went like this. And my dad just grabbed my hand and pulled it down. Because my grandfather did not want to, that was, be quiet, don't talk about the money. But I was like, dang, God, look at that wad of money up there. So, it tells you things about, and it opens up the dialogue about money. My grandfather never talked about it. My dad, so he overspoke about it. And, everybody has a different history of what it means.
Why do you think women seem to have, and it seems like it's more women have a difficulty even talking about money? What do you think that is? Blanket statement it, because it's probably something different for all of us.
I don't know. I think it's probably some societal stuff. It's not really, there's not a lot of it taught in school. So that's certainly part of it. It makes me crazy. I was in a store not that long ago, and I was in Buckle, and I was returning 2 pair of jeans, and I was just getting one. And she said, girl math. And she was giving me the money back I had a husband who just saw the big charge, and then I got cash back, and girl math, you can go shop more and put this in your pocket. And I was like, oh, please never say that again. I had to stand there and educate. I was like, here's my business card. Please don't ever say that again. You're upsetting me right now. But, there's these memes and things, and I just think it's not supporting, financial education and financial intelligence. So more and more, I am meeting and seeing more women who have a grip on their finances. And so I think it's also that women think it's scary, right?
Yes.
So I like to say, I know it seems like it's scary, but money is just a tool, right? So, and I'm really not, I wrote my book so I didn't have to repeat myself, not so much to make money, but I will tell you that the all the things I talked to my $5 million client about, going through their cash flow, going through, are you being as tax efficient as possible? Do you have trust or wills set up? And I'm not an attorney.
Mhm.
Are you making sure your family is taken care of? All those things, they're right in the book. And it's not a textbook. It's not a overwhelming thing. It starts talking about, what are your values, right?
Mm.
What's important to you? Do a mind map, right? Put
Yes.
it out there.
Yes.
I was just talking to a client before we got on, and she's newly retired and she's done really well. She goes, I remember you telling me 15, no, probably 18, 19 years ago. I remember you telling me I needed $4 million and I could retire. And she has 3.89. Okay. And I was like, yes, like that's amazing. And, so she's like, well, the used car I was looking at, maybe I'd like to get a newer one. And the trip, maybe we didn't put enough budget in there. And well, we know what kind of house we want to buy next year. And I said, okay. I said, look, you can, and you have done the work,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Can I tell you that you can have all three of those things? Go big and it not affect your financial plan? Probably not. So you need to go back and think about right now in your life, what is most important to you? Is it the view from your new home in your new state? Is it that you have an unlimited and really, really juicy travel budget? Is it that your new car has the most shiny bells and whistles? Or what has to come first? So you have to decide. It's not for me to tell you,
Yeah.
right? But it's for me to help you help yourself.
And if you decide you want them all, here are the consequences to that decision. That's what your advisor's there, that non-emotional, I'm not invested. This
Yeah.
is what I see could happen if you do that.
Yeah.
And that's the best to me. Is like, it's not your mom who has her whole thing. It's not your sister. It's not your even best friend, who we all have our own money stories around
ISP,
you
right?
that come in. Somebody who doesn't, like, I want to say doesn't care, but because you care, but don't invest
Unattached.
so much in it. Unattached. There it is.
And if we could only be unattached in our personal relationships, right? It's almost, I mean, and don't get me wrong, I am attached to this client of 18 years and she got to the retirement. So I'm like, okay, let's be serious about this and think about it. But then I'll help you work through, how do we navigate this? Look, the market is really good right now. So if we're trimming something off now, I feel comfortable with that. Now, next year, if the market's down 20%, I'm not going to be excited about you buying a new car.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
We're taking a $50,000 trip. You're probably going to do a $20,000 trip next year. And then the year after that, well, if the market is good, we'll do the big trip.
It's about having the conversations and somebody seeing the stuff you don't see. Because she can make the decision to take a $50,000 trip right now, even if you're advising her, like, these are the consequences. Okay, I'm going to do it. And we'll deal with those consequences when I get back. And
Yeah.
we all have we're choice. We have a choice. We always have a choice. And we just can decide. And that's the bottom line. It's conversations and decisions. I love that you have this client that you've been with for 18 years. Did you meet her during a transition in her life, or did you meet her?
Yeah, after a divorce. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how did she come? There's a couple ways I want to go. How did she just find you, or how did somebody recommended you to her? Because her emotions were high, and
so a very good friend of mine, she was a friend of a friend, and the friend was sick, and so we were interacting more frequently as a group of her close friends, and she just asked me if I would look at her situation. Again, I don't go. That's why I do these podcasts, right? So people can get to know me, and if they say, there's something that I want to have a conversation with her, that's great. But I'm not going to go out there and pitch myself. It's just not my thing.
Marketing and doing all the.
I love what I do.
Yes.
And I love talking to people. And you corner me at a party and I'll talk to you all night long about your finances because it's fun for me.
Yes.
But, you're only as in my business as far as your arms can reach. You have this friend over here, and that friend has one friend who's going through a divorce or lost a spouse or is in a big change type situation and might need help,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
And might
Mhm.
need support.
Mhm.
Because again, happily, people who have an advisor and they're happy and they're taken care of, they don't need to change, right? As
Yeah.
long as you have an independent advisor who is looking out for your best interest, who talks to you, who understands your situation, your goals, I'm not trying to steal you from them. They're doing a good job.
And as the
It,
female partner in the group, I want to make sure that you're understood and you ask questions and not talked down to and are not pushed to that's just a big thing to me. When I start talking to a guy and it's always seems to be a guy that becomes paternalistic and talks to me like I'm a child and or doesn't talk to me or just kind of gives me the pat on the head kind of feeling, not that they actually touch me. It's like,
yeah,
no,
no,
we're
that's
not
not working for
this.
me.
We're
Right.
not doing this.
Well, and you're a strong woman. So, unfortunately, what I always, and it's not to say that non-moneyed parties are not strong because they are,
Yeah.
it's just not their aptitude, right? It's just not their natural space. So, more often than not, and hopefully less and less, when you go into these financial meetings and there's a male financial advisor, they're talking to the moneyed party, which may be most times the husband.
Yes.
And the wife doesn't want to go to those meetings because they're boring and they're technical
And I
and
don't
it's
understand. And yeah.
but here's the thing, and I always encourage women, I say you have to go at least once a year.
Hmm.
Okay. And you should be involved integrally, very much integrated in the process because you know where the kids are going to go to school. You know what you guys are going to do for vacation, what that's going to cost. You know what house renovations or that you guys are moving and there's a big adjustment. Those are financial components that the husband is just looking at the investment and going, well, how many, what's the rate of return on that? That's fine. That's a piece of it,
Yeah.
but it's really small in the big pyramid of things.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yes, we have to be competent in managing your money. Okay. But we
Yes.
have to be more competent in understanding you, the client, and what are your goals.
That's great. That's where you talked about the holistic view, not just that you're invested in this stock or buying this real estate and it's
Yeah.
going to give you this rate of return. Like, what are you looking to do? What are money's well, you said money's a tool. What do you want this money that you're going to be getting from this investment to do for you? And then you, as
Exactly.
the advisor, can say, that's not likely to work like that and look at it that
Exactly.
way. And like you said, sometimes the one that's more managing the money is looking at it one way. The other partner looks at it another way, and neither one is wrong, but you need them both to come together to get the full picture. And your financial advisor, who is not looking at all of that, is not doing you a favor. Let's
No,
put that out
no.
there.
That's just the technician part of it, right? Some accountants will just do your tax return, but do no tax planning.
Yes,
Right? That doesn't really help you. Yeah, I mean, you can go to H&R Block and get your taxes done, but how do I make sure I don't pay more tax next year? Right? So you need to have strategy involved
yes.
with all of your financial decisions.
Yes. I'm going to go back because you talked about interviewing. It's a long time ago. We talked about interviewing your financial advisor, interviewing your person that's going to help you. How I would also recommend, before I go into that, that both parties, if you're married, if you have a partner, however your relationship is, that both are there for this interview so that you can both be comfortable with this person. But what kind of questions are you saying to ask? And you brought up, make sure they don't just have one product that they're selling and have six different things in there. Talk to people about how to have that interview.
I would ask them to talk about a typical client relationship. How frequently are, a couple that is similar to us in asset value or in assets under management and years to retirement. What's a typical relationship that you have with it? How frequently are you talking to them? What kind of conversations are you having? And if they're like, well, we do a quarterly review and we review your asset allocation. Okay, well, that's one piece.
Yeah.
But what about our children and education planning? And what about, we're a sandwich generation and we're going to have to be caring for our parents. And what about, making sure that we're lined up with an estate planning attorney so we have taking advantage of any tax shelters that we can. You know, what about talking about long-term care insurance or life insurance if I don't work and she works, right? And now I'm going to stay at home and I don't have an income. God forbid something happened. So, it'll be telling to hear what they say. I would also want to make sure that they are an independent advisor. And what that means, they can still have a broker dealer. Like I have a broker dealer, but my broker dealer is independent. So I don't work for Merrill Lynch or Raymond James, where they have their own products and things to position. My broker dealer doesn't have any products.
Okay.
Okay. My broker dealer is my compliance. They are my oversight. They make sure that you're a real person and I got your driver's license and I know my client, and they make sure I'm doing something appropriate. I'm not putting a 90-year-old lady into 5 technology stocks, right? They're saying that doesn't really fit, right? So their oversight and their compliance, and they're really also helpful from a collective business strategy perspective, because we do meetings, multiple meetings annually, and talk with colleagues and what's your best practice and how do we do things better. And
Okay. I go straight to the point with them. I ask those questions. I also want to know, how do you make your money?
Sure.
It's just
Good question.
just how are you making money? And if
Right.
and I want to hear the answer. And sometimes I want a direct answer. I don't want a him and ha answer. Be direct with me. Because
I'm a hard D. I got you. I'm going to give you the direct right now. So I make money in basically two ways. Okay. So if somebody's going through divorce and they come to me and their life is chaos, and they got stuff everywhere and they don't know where to start and they're overwhelmed, I'm not going to do a financial plan and talk to you about 30 years from now.
yeah,
You're in the ER, you're in
yeah,
triage. We
yes,
need to assess what you have, assess how long you put together questions for your attorney, help you get organized, help you evaluate whether or not you keep the house or take more in retirement. What does that look like for your kids? So it's financial therapy and division of assets. Okay. So in those kind of things, I get paid hourly. I get paid $250 an hour. Somebody who comes to me and says, look, I'm going to do this on my own, but I want a financial plan. I do all the analysis. Okay, if you do this and you save X number of dollars, and what does that look like? That's $3,000.
Okay.
In my world, in my life, in my practice, that is probably max 5% of my income. Okay, those type of things. But they're needed. Okay. And you don't need me to, you don't have assets for me to manage. You need help. Let's triage you. The lion's share of what I do and why I have clients for 18 and 25 years is investment advisory. So I do all of those things and all the stuff that we talked about, like everything. I mean, if even negotiated cars for clients because they're uncomfortable. And so I'm like, I don't care if you get the gray one or the maroon one. You just have to tell me which one you want. And I'm gonna harass these guys back and forth, and then you'll get the car and you just show up. And they're like, are you kidding me? But I don't like to do that. It's not fun. I'm not going to lie, but I have done it. So then I get paid a percentage of assets under management. So in an example where you have $1 million of assets, I get paid 1%. Okay. Paid $10,000 a year, and that comes out of the investments, and it comes out quarterly. So at the end of a quarter, if the $1 million is now $1.2 million, it's 1% times 1.2 divided by 4. If the account is down, it's 750,000. It's 1% times 750 divided by 4. So my income and my goals are focused in the same direction as yours. Okay.
Yeah.
And you can fire me on Tuesday and take your money with you. You're only paying for your time with me and in the market. So I have to constantly make sure that I'm doing my job and make sure that I'm serving my client and making sure all their needs are attended to, because you could leave me.
Yeah.
Right? Alternatively, people could sell you a product, put $1 million into an annuity or a mutual fund and get paid 4 or 5% or even 7% commission 1 year, and then they're gone, gone. And they're not talking to you because you're not paying them right now.
Right, right.
Okay. For 7 years.
Okay. So you
And
guys,
they'll call you.
I hope you heard that was a very direct answer. There was no hemming and hawing about that. It's like, how do you make money? And a lot of people are afraid to ask that question,
Sure.
and a lot of people won't answer it. But that not answer is
Worse.
telling. You
Worse.
telling. So don't be afraid to ask the question.
And
All
you can ask how much of your income is advisory based versus commission based,
Okay. There you go.
right? So, I mean, that helps you know whether you're a product salesperson or, investment advisory long term. So there are appropriate times where there is a product sale. So
Yes.
somebody who is ultra conservative and has a long-term care income need but has a health issue, an annuity might be appropriate, right? So that's a commission sale.
Got it. Got it. Got it. Got it. Okay. You've talked a lot about your book, and we've never said the name of it.
Oh, it's called Squeeze the Juice. And the premise is exactly what we're doing here. You're getting the juice of me, like, boom, like, what do you want to know? Here it is. And it's basically about getting the most out of life, getting the most out of a conversation, getting the most out of a trip, getting most out of an experience with family. And it's about taking care of your people. And accidentally, you might learn something financial. I promise it's an easy read. Yeah, it's all story oriented. So, I've been doing this a long time. I think you'll hear in my voice that I love what I do. And so I tell stories about working with different clients and situations that people can listen to and go, oh, well, that, maybe I need to think about X, Y, and Z because it gives perspective.
I agree. You had a subtitle: "Squeeze the Juice, Live Life, and Leave a Legacy." Did I get it
Yeah.
right?
Live your life and leave a legacy.
There you go.
Yeah.
And
So
live your life was the first part. Living life. The legacy is the second part.
yeah,
I have my dad right now, is 90, who is more worried about the legacy than living his life. And I still keep saying, Dad, no, we can't have somebody coming in 24 hours because I won't have enough money to leave for you guys. I'm like, Dad.
yeah, yeah. We're interested in taking care of you and making sure that, you're in the best care that you can be in.
Yeah, exactly. So live
Yeah,
your
and
life,
and
leave a legacy.
legacy is work ethic. It's the intellectual property that you have. It's who you are as a person.
Yeah.
It's the family values and the family traditions. That's his legacy.
Yes. Yes. Thank you so much. Okay. How can people find your book? Is it on Amazon?
It's on Amazon, sure.
Okay. All right. And this stuff, guys, I know nobody's sitting there with a pen and paper. You're driving, doing whatever you're doing. It'll be in the show notes. Squeeze the Juice is the book. The person we've been talking to this last hour is Jennifer Lee. The name of her company is Modern Wealth. And your website is?
It's modern-wealth.com. I will tell you that if we've stimulated thought and somebody has a question, I'm happy to have I call it a squeeze the juice call. So you can set up a 20-minute call on my Calendly, no cost, no obligation. And hopefully I can just answer your question directly. It's a Calendly and it's Jennifer Modern Wealth.
Got
That's
it.
probably the easiest way.
And then there's a template for the love letter on your website that I actually downloaded for myself, which is very, very nice. It will stimulate your questions, you guys. So if you do nothing else, go there for that. And then once you look at that, you'll go back and make the appointment for the phone call. Jennifer, thank you so much. This has been an amazing conversation. I hope you guys got as much out of it as I did. This is good. I
Really fun. Thanks for having me.
appreciate it so much. Have a good rest of your day in Florida, and we'll be talking to you soon. I appreciate it. Take care.
Thank you.